Alright, so this will be sort of a tutorial video on doing the wheel bearing on an 01 to, I believe it's the same up to 07 Toyota Sequoia. Started this a little bit late. I'm just getting the spindle out now, which is this whole piece here, and the bearing is housed inside of this center section, but this has to be removed first before you get access to the bearing. So the first thing that I did was you have to take the wheel, the rotor, and the caliper off. Then I don't have a dust shield. You'll normally have a dust shield. It's just these bolts and it comes off. Mine rotted off. Then there'll be a crown nut up here with a cotter pin in it. This will have a cotter pin in it. These are aftermarket, so they don't. And then I normally take these 4 bolts out. There's one here I already took out, and then one here that I already removed. But I normally take those 4 bolts out, and then those 4 bolts I loosen up. This stuck a pickle fork in there, smash it in, bang on the top of the hammer, pops right out. Top one, once you get this nut loose, you leave it on a few threads, and I took a 3-pound hammer and smacked the bottom of the control arm. Control arm comes up, and then ABS sensor is a 10mm, and this whole ABS sensor comes out. Normally there's a cable, but I'm getting a new one, so I just cut it. Yeah, so we'll just take this stuff off, and I'll resume back with you. Alright, I figured I'd just give you the sizes. You also have to take the cotter pin that's in the axle nut out, and the axle nut is 35mm. I think on the newer ones they up it, but I'm not sure about that. This one's a 35mm. This is an 02 Sequoia. 35mm. This one should be the same as this one, which is a 19, but mine's a 22. This is a 19. And then all these little bolts under here are 14s. So you can also take the bottom ball joint out, but this is much easier, and you don't have to separate the bottom ball joint. I just find it easier. I've done it a few times now. So yeah, then the axle will just push out once this is off. So now I'll just be taking the whole spindle out, sort of show you how that goes. And that's pretty much it. So that's your CV axle. That's your lower ball joint there. Well, that's not, but lower ball joint. Tie rod end, upper ball joint. Oh, gotta do that too. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Spindle's out. There's your bearing. Alright, so first step, you're just going to take a flathead screwdriver and pop this outer oil seal off. Once that's off, you're going to want to pay attention to the way that these go in. These are your ABS modules. But yeah, I'll pull those out quick. So next thing I got set up here is I have a 35mm socket that I use for the axle nut. That's also the same size as the inner of the hub. You put that on the inside of the hub. This is just supported on both sides on these plates. Yeah, so make sure this socket isn't sitting on the ABS ring. It's sitting on the back side of the hub. And then you just push on it. and it comes out. It might make some bad noises when it first moves, but the rest of the way should be pretty easy. I'll show you guys what's next after I get this out. Alright, so after you press that out, it should look like this. I still have to take this front oil seal off there that's all corroded. I got a new one of those in the box over there. ABS ring, and then this one. And the hub should look like this. I know sometimes when you'll press this out, the inner race of the bearing will get stuck on here. Alright, so snap ring is out. And then the bearing next. I'm gonna clean all this up first though. Alright, so next up, you're gonna wanna find something that fits inside. You're gonna push the bearing out from the side where the CV axle goes in to the front where the wheel sits. So you're gonna wanna find something that sits along the outer edge of the race there. That way you don't just shoot out the middle of the bearing. Okay, so the first few are going to be difficult, but once you get it going, it should there it is. So now the bearing's going in, and you can use the outside race from the old bearing to push the new bearing in. It goes in the outside where the wheel sits, where the hub goes back in. After the bearing is in, snap ring goes in next. I just put one side in and then take a screwdriver on the other side, pry it over, and then bang it down with a hammer. Snaps right into place. Next is this outside oil seal, and then the hub. So after the outer oil seal is on, then the hub goes back in. Like that. So outer oil seal is off. That's what mine looks like, thanks to New England. Top of this should look like this. I'm gonna clean that up with a wire brush after, but that's what it should look like. That goes back on there like that, and then you push it down, but not there yet. So next you have to remove this snap ring in the front of the bearing. So you pop that puppy out, and then you press. So I realized I forgot to finish a few pieces, and first one's probably putting the rear oil seal on the back of the hub after you press the bearing in. Press the bearing in, you put your ABS ring in and the smaller one that sits inside of it, and then the oil seal just taps on with a hammer. That was the first thing I did when I started to press it out. Then the rest of the way is pretty self-explanatory. It just goes back in the way it came out in the car. And yeah, I think that's about it.